Hi everybody, it's They Thrive and welcome back to another video. Today I'm going to be doing a book review and discussion about The Road Through the Wall. So overall, I would rate this book a 6.5 out of 10. Quick summary of the book. It's a book that talks about a particular street called Pepper Street and the neighborhood, the residents that are on that street. It gives sporadic scenes to understand various themes such as class, discrimination for various things such as mental illness, ethnicity, religion. And the book also talks about group dynamics and conformity. I thought that the ending was very good due to the story being fragmented, and there was like a lot of little stories inside the big theme. The ending wasn't very predictable due to it being, like I said, a lot of fragmented stories throughout the book. The book starts off with the girls from the street writing letters to boys that they admired. Harriet, which is one of the main characters that we really connect with throughout the story, she writes to a boy that she considers dull, and basically she just writes to him even though she doesn't really find him attractive or really like him, just because she believes that that's the best that she can do. And then Mary ends up writing a letter to her brother, which was weird and I don't understand why. So if you read the book and you understood why she was writing to her brother, please leave it in the comments below because I couldn't figure that out. One girl though is excluded from writing the letters, and her name is Marilyn, and she's excluded because she's kind of the outcast, being that she is Jewish. I'm going to talk about some scenes and characters that really stood out to me. As I've already mentioned before, Harriet, she's one of the main characters of the book. We hear a lot about her dynamics with her mother. Her mother is very judgmental and very particular about who Harriet hangs out with. She's very controlling about that aspect. Harriet really doesn't have any friends because her mom is constantly, anytime she does develop that bond or relationship with people, her mom disapproves of the friend and basically tells her to end the friendship. So some of the things that her mom is judgmental about, she's got very negative views on those who are outside of the norm, including in religion, mental health, ethnicity, such as Chinese people, weight, overweight. She's very critical of Harriet actually being overweight. Harriet seeks out her mother's approval because she does lack that self-esteem. I did find it surprising though that Harriet wanted validation from her mom even more than her peers, because the fact that she let go of two friends, especially Marilyn, she developed a really good bond with Marilyn, and she let that go all because her mom felt like they weren't good enough for whatever standard she was setting. Another character that stood out to me is Todd. From the beginning, there was a scene where he got upset with his sister who was bossing him around, and his response to that was to throw some pebbles in a group of girls that were nearby, and it ended up hitting Mary. There was an adult that checked and basically dismissed any concerns of Mary being hurt. But the adult didn't hold Todd accountable at all. And Mary ends up kind of like rationalizing Todd throwing the pebble at her. She says, "You didn't mean to do it." So this scene, as well as other scenes, are added to talk about gender. Like, this reminds me of women-based violence or women-targeted violence and how men are often protected. Another scene that probably stood out to anybody who's read the book, and hopefully you've read this book before you're watching this video, the wall ends up being removed. Spoiler alert. I view it as symbolically meaning the world could view the flaws of, the neighborhood or the residents who put on this facade of being better than. Basically, the world can see that everything isn't what it appears to be at first glance. The residents, of course, want to keep the wall up because they want to feel superior or different from the rest of the world. And I think that wall kind of helps them feel that way. There is another scene within the wall being removed that stood out to me. And it's when Haley goes over to the workmen trying to basically entice them to get some water, get some drinks with her. Either she wanted them to beg or she just wanted them to go get drinks with her, not necessarily alcoholic drinks. When the workmen aren't very interested in going to get drinks with Haley to cool off, Haley ends up calling them dirty bums. I feel like that scene might be placed there to highlight performative help. Another overarching theme of the book is the power of conformity. And I think that's seen not only through Harriet, she's a specific character that we kind of already talked about, and how she conforms, at least to her mother's, beliefs of what the standard or what's appropriate. But all of the characters really are a reflection of conformity, and the power of influence, because all of the characters either ignore or participate in the discrimination of others when they need to feel powerful. Another theme that kind of stood out to me was when Miss Fielding and Mr. Donald were conversing. Mr. Donald talks about how he remembers summers being warmer, and now he says that the summers are colder. Miss Fielding's response is, it's because we're older. So the summers are colder because we're older. I think that response and that scene is to highlight how we aren't born evil, cynical, or with hate in our hearts. As kids, we're focused on having fun, and we don't really pay attention to details or differences in others. But as we get older, we become more negative. We have more of a fixed mindsets from our experiences, which a lot of times lead to discrimination. And the book does a great job of pointing out how we learn or are trained from a very young age to notice differences in others and to dislike people because of those differences. So yeah, those are the scenes that really stood out for me in the book, and my overall thoughts and opinions of the book. Overall, like I said, I would rate it at 6.5. So it was pretty good. It's really hard for me to get to that 10. So maybe we'll see how this ranks compared to other books that I'm reading this for the end of the year. But overall, it was a good book. I did like the stories, but with it having so many characters, I think that would be the flaw and the reason why I rated it a little lower, because I did definitely take my time reading it due to it having so many different characters and so many fragmented stories. It can kind of be hard to keep up with unless you're reading it slowly. So that is pretty much the only con that I can think of off the top of my head right now. But yeah. Oh, there's another con. It doesn't really, it does talk a little bit about race with the Chinese man. But I think it could have explored that topic a little bit more. So yeah, those are my thoughts. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Thank you. Bye-bye.